About a really cool parrot, and we did something kind of cool and up close that we don't normally get to do with everybody out here. Is that okay if we do that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, because we won't be able to do our normal thing, but I just need 1 second. I'm going to set a perch down right here, and then I'll go grab the parrot. We'll be right back out, and we'll roll. It'll be really informal, too, so if you have any questions or anything like that, you can just ask them, shout them out, and I'll show you a really awesome parrot. Cool? Cool, I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, I just got to grab a microphone for this parrot so everybody can hear what she's saying. And then I'll be right down there with all of you. So this is actually a really awesome parrot. I'm really happy to be able to share it with you guys. Her name is Keto, and Keto is a double yellow-headed Amazon parrot. She's one of my favorites. One of the birds that we don't get to share like this with all of you guys very often. So I'll show you kind of what she does. And then after that, if you have any questions I want to talk about it, you can answer any of those or just chat for a minute. Okay. We set this up, just to turn on her microphone and we'll begin. So have you heard of parrots that can talk? Okay, cool. So that's an ability. It's called mimicry. It's where animals can copy sounds they hear in their environment. And for a parrot, it's super beneficial. It allows them to learn how to communicate with the other parrots, right? But when they grow up around people, we're the other parrots. So that's kind of where they get that. So would you give them a big greeting? Right? That's mimicry. She grew up, instead of being around other parrots, she was around humans. So she started to copy human sounds. She also knows what kind of parrot she is. So she says that. This is Keto and she's a. She's a. That's high. That's good. This is Keto and she's a. A double yellow-headed Amazon parrot. And I spoiled that a little bit earlier, but double yellow-headed Amazon parrots, they're normally found, like I said, in the forest of Central America. But she did learn some cool animal sounds along the way. Do you want to hear some of those?
Yeah.
Okay, she does like the big scary tiger. You got one more? Ferocious. It's kind of like post Taco Bell, if you know what I'm saying. But if that was super, we could do the smaller tiger. Would you do the kitty cat? There it is. Super cute. And she also does a really cool bird sound that's found in Australia. It's called a kookaburra. It sounds like that. And the animal sounds are really cool, but like most of what Keto has learned, like I said, how to copy human sounds, right? So she does like a bunch of different stuff. You say, good job. Good job, that's right. And she does this thing when you guys clap. So if you clap, she might do. You want to try it?
Yeah.
There it is. This last thing that she does now, before we break out into Q&A mode, is really awesome, and I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to see if she do it. They're ready. You ready? Let's do it. Great job, Gino. The thing is, that song is different every time we hear it. You're so awesome. This is usually the point of the routine where we say goodbye, but since you're all hanging out, and since we aren't able to do our normal show, do you have any questions about Keto? Or about training, or how a parrot ends up doing that stuff?
How did you get her?
How did we get Keto? Like I said, she was a pet in the home. But parrots like her are not easy pets. Do you mind if I talk about that? If I go on a small tangent for a second? Okay, so parrots like these guys, the things they don't tell you at the pet store though, is that that beak that they have is made to carve a hole in the side of a tree that they make a nest out of. So imagine what they could do to your hand or your furniture. On top of that, they scream really loud. And it's one of the ways they can communicate over a long area in the forest. I'm sure you hear some of the parrots in the back. They poop every 30 minutes. And she could live to be 50 years old. Right? She's already in her late 20s, but she came from a home as a pet because they don't necessarily say those things when you get a parrot like this in the home. At the pet store, they're not going to tell you that all the time. So they're not the easiest animals to have in the house. So she lives with us because she has some extraordinary abilities. She already sang quite a lot. Because the thing is, we can't teach parrots how to sing. They either do it or they don't do it. Right? Because they're copying sounds that they've heard before. So for us to teach them, we might be able to produce an environment that they get to hear the same thing a lot, but that doesn't ensure they're ever going to talk. They have to choose to do that, and then when they do it, we can make sure that they get something good that makes it worth doing again, but we can't make them do that or anything the first time. Yeah. Yeah, do you mind if I answer this guy's question first real quick? Because he was really patient with his hand up. Do you have a question? Oh, okay, cool. And then you were as well in the back, yeah. You gotta yell at me though. Could you sing Let It Go? No, like the thing is, like, we don't get to choose what they sing. I wish I could do that for you, but unfortunately she doesn't know it. So it'd be really hard for us to do that. We might be here for the rest of our lives. She might never say it. Yeah, so what was your question, my friend? What does he eat? Well, she, in the wild, would eat things like fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, right? They have a pretty variable diet where they eat a bunch of different stuff. So when we feed them, we try to feed them what they would want to eat in nature, right? So we give them fruits and vegetables every day, twice a day. And whenever they come out here and work with us, we'll also give them a big bowl of vegetables in the back. And then after that, we also add nuts and seeds in whenever they're out here, because that's like ice cream. And so like dairy is a part of our diet, right, for some people. So like, but for her, she has too much of them, it could be a health problem, right? Because like a parrot like this, she's not flying around. She never learned how to fly. When she was really young, she had clipped wings in the home because she was a pet, right? So like, if they don't learn it when they're young, chances of them flying later in life are really low. So she doesn't do that, so we have to be careful about how many nuts and seeds we use when we're out here doing that, because they can suffer from the same sort of stuff we do as humans if we are eating what we're supposed to. So we try to emulate what she would eat in the wild. So that's things like nuts and fruits and vegetables and a pelleted diet that helps add everything in between. Good question. Any other questions? How close can we get? Oh. Well, this is about as close as we get, right here.
He's just trying to get as close.
Oh yeah. This is like this. All that little behavior right there is probably in some regards to like she really wants a peanut, right? The peanut's a really high value. She does like some interesting stuff. It's part of the reason why it's worth it for her to do that, right? A lot of what we do with the birds is employing like pretty high level of psychology, right? We use applied behavior analysis, where basically whenever we take a look at behaviors that we're measuring, we see whether or not they're increasing or decreasing, and what the reinforcers are, the things that increase the behavior, and maybe some of the punishers that exist in the environment that might decrease, because they're all around us all the time. Right? And our behavior is constantly being affected by those things. So whenever we're out here working with these parrots, like there's chances are like that she's done that and gotten peanuts. So like that sort of anticipatory behavior is probably in regards to that, where she's like, maybe he'll give me one if I do this. Right? It's like the dog who sits there and waits patiently for something to fall off the counter. You know, well at least mine do that. Yeah. Any other questions?
Do you do any clicker training?
Do we do any clicker training? So for those of you not familiar with a clicker is something that tells us the animal exactly what are in the reinforcer, exactly what are in the treat, right? But the thing is, in a lot of our training, we don't use that, because we call that an event marker or a bridge. And this is going to bring it in the weeds. Is that okay if we get in the weeds for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go pretty deep. So if you got any questions, follow along.
Go Temple Grandin deep.
So the thing about this is that marks that behavior, right? We call that a bridge. We bridge the behavior. So the thing is, there are salient existing bridges that are here without the clicker, right? So we don't have to click if I just hand her a treat, right? Or she might notice that I reach into my pocket, and those things say, oh, I'm doing it, he's giving me that. And that helps mark that behavior, right? And we know this because science is observable, right? Science is measurable, it's observable. We know this because there is an increase in behavior. And if there is an increase in behavior, good job. That's the cue for good job, by the way. There it is. If there is an increase in behavior, then we know that a reinforcer is in play. So we can tell that the bridge is helping. And there are some that are existing that I might not ever know exist as well. So, and who's to say what piece of information they're exactly responding to? But we do know that it is working based on the observable outcomes.
So, like informal clicker, your hand going in the pocket.
Exactly. Or it just is the presentation of the consequence, the food, right? So like, and consequence doesn't mean bad either. Consequence can mean very good too, right? You can have a great consequence for a behavior. So that's what we're talking about here too. Because our primary strategy here is to reinforce behaviors we would like to see continue. Because it's a lot easier to tell the animal what to do rather than what not to do. So yeah, that's where a lot of our training comes from. We got into the weeds there. Anybody have any questions about any of that? It's a good conversation. This is what I'm really passionate about, so it's cool. Awesome. Well, and then I think we might head backstage. So Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm sorry we won't be able to bring our birds out for that show, but we do have one last chance today with this weather that we got going on at 3:30, and it looks like we might be able to do that show. So if you didn't want to see the show, our 3:30 show has a better chance of going off than this one did. So thank you very much for hanging out, and enjoy the rest of your day. We say goodbye. That was good. Can we do a goodbye?
Goodbye.
Good job, Keto. The double kill headbands. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for your questions.
Bigger rather than
Yes.